Hello, you are listening to From Maclay to Zama. I'm your host, Karen Miller. This podcast is about the adventures of two women from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, who worked for the U.S. Army at Camp Zama, Japan, from 1953 to 1955. Their stories are told through hundreds of letters written home. Welcome to episode 41, letters 131 to 134. This week I was off school for spring break. Of course, I imagined productive days of podcasting and writing, but life got in the way. It's Saturday now, and I'm sitting in a clean house after having a wonderful, inspirational trip to Biltmore yesterday with my husband. Last week, I got the app Merlin Bird ID, and I reached my goal of identifying at least one new bird in my yard each day. I actually have found 31 different birds in my yard over the last week. One of my favorite things about my home is the abundance of wildlife here. I was thinking about how much Bern and Peg would love this app. Although Peg was one of the most curious people I have ever known, she was a professed Luddite. I would tell her about all the amazing things we could do with computers, and she would say they were going to be the downfall of society. I told her that they would increase our knowledge and help us learn more efficiently. And now, 7 years after those conversations, I have seen that she might have been more correct than I could ever have imagined. She was amazed when I told her that AI could help me identify a song her father used to play on the piano. He played it by ear, and so no one had ever seen the sheet music. She loved the idea that she could chat with special people over the computer and see their smiles. But she was concerned that books and reading would go away. And now I see that is actually happening. I'm happy that it seems I was wrong about another thing. This week, Red Dog leaves Japan. It appears that Peg will never know that he was married and had children. She tells her parents in these letters what a wonderful person he is. I guess if it wasn't for my internet research, I might think that too. In letter 133, Peg details her plan for climbing Mount Fuji. I've been looking forward to this from the beginning of the podcast. So let's get started on letters 131 to 134. 131's from Bern, written the 26th of July, 1954. Dear folks, summer is really upon us at last. In fact, too much so. Humid, hot, sticky weather is not my idea of ideal climatic conditions, and I'd just as soon go back to the rainy season. At least it was much more comfortable. Oh well, there is also the swimming pool, especially a problem, though, for me without a decent suit. Recently, I've been back to the Lockwoods home twice. The first time was Sunday a week ago to Kathy's 3-year-old birthday party. I helped to entertain about 15 or 20 Japanese children and about 6 American kids. The children were absolutely darling. Many of them came in kimonos, and they were so very well behaved that it even rubbed off on the American kids, and they were surprisingly good too. The maid of a friend of Lockwood's is a graduate nursery school teacher and speaks very good English. We played some cute Japanese games first, and then she explained to the children in Japanese the instructions I gave for such games as Farmer in the Dell, Little Sally Ann, Ring Around the Rosie, etc. A good time was had by all, including me and the few mothers who attended. We all sat on the lawn afterwards, getting thoroughly messed up with sticky chocolate cake and Jell-O mixed with kisses. Children are wonderful, no? This past Saturday night, the Lockwoods celebrated their 4th wedding anniversary with a bang-up big party at their home. They had bought new furniture and accessories, had bought many large Japanese lanterns, which they had wired and strung around the lovely garden. French doors open out onto a flagstone patio, which made an ideal place for dancing. The guest list contained some most interesting people who were excellent conversationalists. The buffet dinner, served by caterers so the hostess was free to enjoy her own party for a change, was very attractively served, and A number 1 in quality. Chicken, barbecue beef, shrimp, scalloped potatoes, salad, and later in the evening, the anniversary cake. This child had a wonderful time. Just what did Peg tell you about the Fuji View weekend that was so radically different from my account? Someday when I get home, I'll tell you a very personal, hilarious incident which happened that same time, but would be much better told than written. Yesterday, we did some Christmas shopping, or take home next year shopping, not sure which. A new shop handling merchandise from non-communist Shanghai has opened in the Officers Club in Yokohama, and we found some real bargains in a few items that we think will please the folks in the States. No, I'm not going to tell you what, because we might decide to send you some too. We had planned to go on to Kamakura to take pictures of the big Buddha, but it was much too hot and sticky, so we went to the PX shopping instead. Peg bought a cute, cheap raincoat. We've had to wear them so often, the good ones even wear out rapidly. And each of us bought material. Hers is a most colorful and interesting print. A lot of brown, beige, and orange, which look real well with her hair and skin. Mine is a fine check with a pretty shade of yellow, just enough for a summer skirt. The type of laundry facilities and the fact that the maids are unfamiliar with the procedures for handling all the fabrics make this a hard country on clothes. It seems to me I have many more summer dresses than ever. They wear out rapidly. There are a few of last year's dresses which I brought with me still wearable. A new author you simply must become acquainted with is Elizabeth Googe. Both for content and the quality of her writing, she is well worth cultivating. Heart of the Family is the first one that I read that is excelled by Janician Hill, which I finished last night. Samples, as best as I can remember without having the exact quotation here. She had that reverence and love which toward man is without possessiveness and toward God without rebellion. The theme of the book seemed to me to be well worth shouting from the housetops. The fact that man is not basically alone, the separate entity which can be touched by others, but not really part of anyone else. Rather, she maintains that we are all part of all whom we meet or admire or emulate. The service and sacrifice of saints can be ours if we accept them and try to carry on in our limited way. By the same token, we can become part of all the evil of the centuries, but the power of choice is ours. A very well-written book of the quality that is hard to find in the accumulation of today's trash. The dish we sent in the birthday package, Helen-san, was in response to a suggestion from Daddy in one of his private letters that we replace the card dish on the hall stand, which had been broken by the wee one. Can you put it there? If this is to go on out in today's mail, I must stop right now. They have been keeping me extra busy for a change, which is why I'm behind in this correspondence. My handwriting gets worse all the time, so I purposely try to wait till I get to the office to write. Lots of love, Bern. I'm going to take a break for a minute to play a promotion for Cussewago Productions' new podcast. It will be available in the fall of 2025 and is called Deep Below. If you like the Gilded Age, are interested in the presidency of William McKinley, or you just want to hear more about my family, I think you will enjoy this one. I'm excited to have my children joining me this time around to explore the lives of Lavinia McKinley Brightville and her children.
So when is a person dead? The Victorians believed it was when breathing stops, or when the soul departs, when no one remembers the person, or when their name is no longer uttered. Coming in the fall of 2025, explore my father's side of the family. It also happens to be President William McKinley's. Join me, Lavinia, Katie, Elsie, Hazel, Blaine, and David for Deep Below, a new podcast by Cussewago Productions, available wherever you get your podcasts and at www.deepbelowpodcast.com.
Now on to letter 132 from Peg, written July 26, 1954. Dear Mother and Daddy, I just read your letter with the clipping about the storm in it, and I haven't as yet had time to read the clipping. Golly, that must have been a Lulu. It didn't do any damage to our house, did it? But I bet you the Kaisers had rain in their cellar. I'm anxious to read the clipping. I'll do that at lunch. Well, at long last, the rainy season is over, and we're getting summer in a big way. It's certainly good to see the sun at last, although it's getting very hot and humid. It's quite a big change to go from woolen blankets to sweltering, and from sweaters to no stockings, no girdles, and all in 2 days, too. Sounds like the weather in North Carolina. Anyhow, that's the country for you, and I just get used to it. Didn't do too much this weekend. I met a real nice lieutenant colonel on Friday night up at the club and enjoyed the evening very much. I ate breakfast with him this morning. Saturday, I just loafed around because the sun hadn't started to shine and there wasn't much use to sit outside in my beach chair. Yesterday, Bern and I went into Yokohama and I bought some cute little cups and saucers on stands, which will make nice presentos when I get home. Another odd dish, some jewelry, white summer necklace and earrings. For myself, a raincoat. Maybe you've seen them. It's plastic, but it's lined with a cute cotton material and a hat to match, $8.50. So just getting prepared for the fall rainy season, you know. I'm mighty tired of my other raincoat, and this new one certainly won't be wasted. I also bought some material for another dress, and we bought some slippers from Hong Kong to bring home with us. Golly, I must be living right, because last week I got a $10 money order from Pete for the material I sent her, and today I got a letter from a WAC sergeant who I knew in med section. I had loaned her $10 before she went home, and she sent me a $10 money order today. So I'm quite flush. I'll probably spend it on some more junk, but what's money? Maybe I will put it in the bank, though. Anyway, we ate at Joe's and came home. Not too exciting, but I enjoyed the shopping. Gladys had a tooth filled on Wednesday, and on Friday she woke up with her face all puffed up on the one side where the tooth was filled. She went to the dispensary, and the doc told her to put cold compresses on it, but they didn't reduce the swelling at all. Then she went down to the hospital on Saturday morning to see the dentist and spent all that morning in conference with the doctor and the dentist, and neither one could tell her what was the trouble, whether it was an allergy to the anesthetic, infection, or what. We were rather concerned about it because the lump moved up from her cheek to right under her eye, but it seems a lot better this morning. She's a grand gal, and we both like her a lot. Red Dog went home on Saturday. Finished, amen, period. I talked with him for a while at the last party they had, but I hadn't seen him since. He is a fabulous person and a number one fella, and it certainly was my good luck to have known him. Gee, I had almost forgotten there were really nice guys in the world, but he was one of the world's best. C'est la vie. Speaking of men, I got a letter from Jean Whistler last Tuesday, the day after I got your letter telling me that Jim had gotten married again. She thanked me profusely for the happy coat and zoris I sent her, and said that the evening she got them, the Whistlers all went over to Jim and Ann's to show them, and they too thought they were just lovely. Then she went on to say that they got married on the 25th of June at a Justice of the Peace near the Whistlers. They bought a swell 4-room ranch house somewhere in that neck of the woods, and the kitchen is as big as your living room was on Locust Lane. Interesting, eh? I would appreciate very much if you folks, Mom and Dad, would not mention to anyone anything I've said about Jim. Not that it's a sore subject with me, because I truthfully couldn't care less what he does or what he thinks, but I just don't want this discussed or hashed over by anyone. It's finished, and as I said before, he's living his own life, and I'm not in the least bit connected with it, thank fortune. And to my way of thinking, it just ain't proper to talk about it anymore. So if anyone asks you whether I made any comments on his remarriage, I'm sure you will give them the right answer and not mention anything I have written. Not even to the rest of the family, okay? Thanks a million. I gotta look busy, so I'll finish this later. Did I say look busy? I can't even do that now, because there's just nothing to do at the present time. More scoshy, though. Things will start to hum, and I'll be working my fingers off. I like this job a lot better than the one that I had, but it's still the Army with thousands of copies of everything we type, plus the never-ending channels through which actions must process before they're finally approved and signed. You know, I sometimes sit and wonder just how to do the ordinary business correspondence. How many copies, how much identifying information on the carbon copies, etc. It's hard to explain all this to you by letter, but we'll both really bend your ears when we get home. We'll just never get caught up on the news. It seems as though I talk a lot lately about coming home. Well, I know that by the time next July 10th rolls around, I'll be sitting at the pier waiting for that lovely ship to pull in to take me back to Pennsylvania. I've enjoyed and am enjoying this experience. But I just can't understand some people over here who've stayed on for as many as 6 or 7 years. Imagine. Of course, some of them are married to Japanese gals, and some of them don't have any family at all, and I guess this is as good as living anywhere for them. But stateside living still is the best. We get kind of fed up at times with all the rules and regulations that we live under, at work and during our off-duty hours. There's always some new regulation posted somewhere telling us what we can and cannot do. So that might sometimes feel as though we might as well wear a uniform and salute. In the letter I got from Jody, the WAC, she said that she never thought she would ever miss this place, but she actually is homesick for Japan. To me, that seems incredible. But a lot of people have written to their friends back here and say the same thing. I suppose I will too. So you'll just have to bear with us while we readjust. Anyhow, I still have more than 11 months to go, so I'm not thinking too much about coming home. Oh, yeah. But to tell you the truth, when I read in your letter today what Marky said about Crazy Peg, I just missed him so much, and please don't let him forget us. He's so cute. Just got back from a meeting of gray ladies. Gad, do these women ever run on unnecessarily? Just a lot of junk that could have been accomplished in a half hour. We went to see the movie Martin Luther one night, and it was tremendous. We certainly are glad we had the chance to see it. Got a shower and hit the rack. Good night now. Talk soon, love. Me. Letter 133, written the 2nd of August, 1954. Dear Mother and Daddy, it's 10:30 p.m., but I want to write to you tonight because we're going to have a pretty busy time this week, and I won't have a chance to write at work. Well, to start off with, Friday night, Gladys, Bern, Kathy, and I went in to eat at houses. We had sauerbraten, and it was good. I guess you get tired of hearing me talk about Joe's and Hanzo's all the time, but it's so wonderful to get a decent meal for a change. Lordy, how I'm going to eat when I get back to 526. Till then, I just eat and only a meal. I just eat to eat and only a meal at some other place than Zama. The food here isn't very good, or maybe we're just too used to it. Saturday, Bern, Gladys, and I went to Kamakura to take some pictures of the big Buddha. It's a very large bronze statue of Buddha, and every visitor to Japan must have pictures of the Buddha. Why, I don't know. But we got to share our share of them on Saturday. We stayed there till about 9:30 and then came back to Yokohama and ate at Joe's. We went to Yokohama by bus and then by train to Kamakura, then by rickshaw from the station to the Buddha. Gladys and I rode in one rickshaw and Bern rode in the other one by herself. Boy, did she look aristocratic, just like a British matron in a colony somewhere. I took some pictures of her while we were jogging along, and I hope they're good because she sure looks sharp. Sunday, Bern, Kathy, Gladys, and I ate a late breakfast and started out on a picnic. Then the club wouldn't make sandwiches for us until 12, which made me mad. It's the little things that are so irritating. So we decided not to take food with us and eat when we came home. Well, once Kathy, who has a little bucket of Bolt's car, came across what she said was a lovely lake not far from Zama, so we set out to find it again. We traveled back roads, but we couldn't find the lake. We saw a river, but we were traveling up a hill when we saw it and couldn't find a road down to the river. Honestly, you'd never believe that any place could be so mixed up. We just had to bypass the river then because we couldn't find a way to get there, and it looked less than a mile away, too. So we traveled some more to find the lake, and guess where we ended up? At a YED swimming pool, another Army post. YED is Yokohama Engineering Depot, although it's farther from Yoko than Zama is. I'll tell you, between the Army and the natives, it's most confusing here. So we put on our swimsuits, but could only go into the pool one person at a time. The Army has a regulation that women and girls must wear bathing caps while in the water, and Bern was the only one who had brought one. So we had to take a shower before going into the pool. You can't even do as you please on off-duty hours. It's the little things. Well, we splashed around and took pictures. Then it rained for about 10 minutes while we huddled under a beach umbrella. Then the sun came out. We tried to get some tan, freckles for me. Then it rained some more, and we ducked back under the umbrella. Then the sun came out, and we got almost dry, and then it poured. So after we got soaked by the rain, it blew too much for the umbrella to do any good. We gave up and got dressed. After we got dressed and started back to the club, sure, the sun stayed out for the rest of the day. The rainy season's supposed to be over, but it rains about every day anyhow. Yep, more of the little things. Tomorrow night, we're going to go to a dancing class to learn how to samba, mambo, rumba, etc. Wednesday night, we're going to have a weenie roast at YED. Gladys is going to borrow a dependent's commissary card so she can get hot dogs, buns, etc. And we're going to take off right after work in time for a swim and then cook our own supper. Doesn't that sound like fun? We don't have any wood yet, but I think we'll make a midnight visit to some of the places under construction around camp. And then we'll have takusan firewood. If that doesn't work, we'll take the head and footboards off of our beds. They ought to burn well. Now just get a load of my plans for the weekend. Gladys and I are going to climb Mount Fuji. Everyone who has climbed it says we're crazy to do it because it's really a long, drawn-out form of torture. But we're more determined than ever to do it. Bern and Kathy chickened out. But Happy and I are so anxious to do it that we'd like to start tomorrow. We leave on a special service tour from Zama at 12:45 on Saturday. The bus will take us to the 3rd station. There are 10 stations. We'll go on horseback to the 7th station, getting there sometime during the night. Sleep or at least eat a few hours in a hotel. These hotels, though, must be a riot. Everyone, guides, Japanese, Americans, all sexes, sizes, colors, pick out the cleanest looking futons and curl up on the floor for a few hours. Then we'll start again about 0300 Sunday morning and get to the top at sunrise. Won't that be thrilling? Of course, all this is providing we can climb that much without conking out and thinking it's useless if it doesn't rain and if we can climb according to schedule. Then we'll start coming down through the lava dust. Fuji is an old volcano. Everyone says the trip down is worse than going up because your legs turn to rubber. Then the bus will be waiting for us at 1600 hours on Sunday afternoon to bring us back to camp. Doesn't it sound like fun? Tonight I borrowed a canteen, sneakers, and a knapsack from various people who have climbed. At the beginning, we get a piece of wood about 5 feet long, and at every station, the number of the station is branded onto the Fuji stick. At the top, you get some bells to tie on the stick. Place some flags that say that you ascended all 12,395 feet of the Grand Old Gal. If I don't write to you next Monday, it's because I'm sitting in a tub of Epsom salts. But the office is already prepared for my absence. I'll let you know, though, how we made out. Of course, we're both determined to get to the top if it takes us 3 weeks to do it. So maybe Bern will be writing that I haven't gotten down yet. Just kidding. Some DAC about 45 years old got to the top about 2 weeks ago, and if she can do it, so can I. Want to come along? The enclosed pictures are folks in my office at Colonel McGiffort's farewell party. He was our former honcho, boss, and now the honcho is Colonel Margison. As you will know after you read this article. Got another roll of film back today that we took up at Fuji View, and they're real good. We'll send you another bunch of slides, more Scoshi. I got to go to bed now. It's 23:30, but I did want to talk to you before I hit the rack. Tell everyone I said hello and give me a thoughtful boost up that mountain next weekend. Lots of love, Peg. P.S. How's the weather over there? Still hot? I really don't think we'll have summer ever here. We heard more about Jim's remarriage and found out the exact date of the event, but I still have not had any luck finding a historical record of it. So I'm assuming that this is because it was at a justice of the peace instead of a church wedding. I just can't find a record of it. Oh, I also forgot the big news. One of my cousins sent me an incredible box of harnished memorabilia that included hundreds more letters from Peg's friend Sally in Japan. Another one-sided conversation of letters that covers the time from the 1950s through the early 2000s. There was also one of Helen's favorite hats. I wonder if it's the one she bought special for Easter that they talk about in the letters. I have framed it, and I will include a photo of it on the podcast website at www.FromMcClayToZama.com for you to check out. I think I remember her wearing it once when I was little, but I can't be sure. I hope you have a great week. I hope you're enjoying the podcast, and if you are, please subscribe in Spotify. On Apple Podcasts, hit the plus button in the top right-hand corner and rate. This will help my listeners find my podcast more easily. You can access the show's website at www.FromMcClayToZama.com, where I've posted photos and links from the episodes. The podcast is now available on iHeartRadio, Pandora, Patreon, and Amazon as well. New episodes will be available each Friday morning. The letters were written by my aunts Bern and Peg, transcribed by me. I write and record the show and have created the artwork and original music. Our producer is Zeke, our sound engineer is intern Sylvie, and the security is provided by intern Frey. Thanks to my great-grandparents, John and Helen, who loved us all and thought it was a good idea to save the letters. All rights reserved, 2024.